Hi everyone, my name is Leah Kopke and I'm a 3D motion design freelancer. I also have a podcast where each week I cover another 3D modeling tool for Cinema 4D. Hello and welcome! Today we're going to go over the scrape brush inside of Cinema 4D, so let's go ahead and jump in. Here we are inside of Cinema 4D. The first thing I'll do is I'll drop in a plane and I'll drop in a cube to my scene. I'm going to increase the segments of the cube to 20 by 20 by 20, and I'll move this over here. You can see those segments increasing if we turn on garage shading lines within the display menu. So there we go. We have our segments showing up. And now we can also increase them for the plane. So I have the plane selected. I'm going to increase the width segments and height segments to 100 by 100, just so we have something to show how this tool works on here. Now you can make these editable by hitting this button here. I'm going to use the C hotkey, so I'll select both of these and select C. Now these are both editable, so that's a good start. I'll change from my standard mode to my sculpting mode up here. So now we have our brushes off to the side. I'll click on our Objects tab right over here so that I can see these again. You'll see that our scrape tool is right over here. And this one's a pretty simple one that we're going over for today. If you look at the settings here, the basic settings are the same as what we've covered in the past. Many of these are the same. The stamp settings are about the same. The stencil settings are about the same. The modifiers are a little bit different, so we'll walk through those. But you can learn all about these settings in these tabs in a few other videos I've made, and I'll leave those in the description below for those of you who are new. Now, just to start off with, let's show how this tool works. It works a lot like what it sounds like it works. So let's go ahead and show this over here. I'll start off with the cube. It's called scrape because in a sense it's a lot like scraping the surface of clay. So when I click my mouse and I drag over here, it reduces that surface and it's almost like we're scraping off that top layer while we do this. And it actually makes for a pretty flat surface when you do that too. So it's a nice way to remove material. It's another option. Another way to go about it. And just to give you an idea of how this looks on different types of surfaces, I'm also going to show it on this plane over here. So I'll just draw with the draw brush, and we've covered this one in another episode. I'll increase the size. With the right bracket, we've increased the strength, so I'm going to draw here. Just build up the surface a little bit, and then I'll use the scrape brush on this. And you can see it just scraped off that top layer and basically flattened it out quite a bit. And that's what you can expect with this. Now it comes with modifiers. Modifiers are ways to combine different types of sculpting brushes together. So you can combine the smoothing brush that we've covered in the past with the scrape. You can combine the draw brush with it. You can combine the pinch brush with it. You can combine the inflate brush with it. And you do that just by checking these on, and then you can adjust the strength of the secondary brush over here with these values. So that's basically how these work. So let's try it with the draw brush. I'll increase the strength to 100% just so that's a little bit easier to see. So it's a little bit of a subtle thing, but it looks like it's building up that surface, but it's also building it up in a lot more of a flat way. So it actually kind of looks like this initial shape that we drew here. We can try it with the smooth. So that just removes the surface as well as smooths it out at the same time. We could try it with the pinch and see what that looks like. Maybe I'll try that one actually on the cube. I think that could be interesting. So it scrapes off the surface, but it also pinches those edges together. So that's kind of an interesting effect. And let's see, the last option, inflate. So let's try turning on inflate and increasing the strength a little bit so that's a little bit more obvious what's happening. This kind of reminds me of the smooth a little bit, just because when you're inflating something, you're making it bigger, but then when you're scraping it, you're removing material. So I feel like when you combine these two together, it almost just looks like you're smoothing out the surface. But it also is kind of slightly pulling up the surface at the same time. So it's kind of interesting. You can try out different brushes together and see what kinds of effects you can get. And you can play around with the additional settings in here, because there's a lot of other things you can do to really adjust how these brushes look. There's so many settings to really customize them to your use. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And if you're interested in learning more 3D modeling tools, please hit like and subscribe so that you'll be notified when the next episode comes out. Thank you so much for taking the time to 3D model with me. I have a lot of fun doing this with all of you each week, so I hope to see you here next week and see you next time here on Ambient 3D Animations.